our story begins at the Spidey Invitational BJJ tournament, and we hear the announcer say, "Who is going to take the title of the world's strongest Jujutsu fighter? Is it X-Shuyu Shuvo? In less than a minute we will know the result. Our champion will be in the middle of the fight, thinking to himself, 5 points difference. I just need to last another 15 seconds. And X can take a beating from the person in front of him and think to himself, that's 10 seconds more. I just need to last 10 seconds. The Jujutsu World Championship final is my goal and my dream. I endured the last submission move and won." In the end, we see our champion get very tired, but in the end, he wins and takes first place. On a construction site, we see one of them saying to his friend, "Hey, Sung, aren't we going to have a drink or what?" Sung says, "No, I have to get back early." His friend says, "Come on, I'll call Seola for you." Song says, "You're the one who's determined, aren't you?" The two of them are walking together and his friend says, "When will our dear brother-in-law open the door and tell us what to do?" Seung says, "When Mina goes to college, I'll make you a promise." His friend says, "She's still in elementary school." And our hero tells the heroine, "The first time I realized my dream, I lost it." At the place where they're drinking, Seung tells his friend, "I'll always be grateful to you." His friend says, "What's that? You're so emotional." Seung said, "Honestly, life is a lot easier now than when I was competing. I used to be able to buy milk for the kids from the coach's salary. Thanks to you I was able to get my drill license. You helped me find a job. And now Mina, Mary, and I have dinner out at least once a week." His friend says, "What's this? Are you still in love? Don't take it back later." Seung says with a laugh, "There's no way I'm going back on my word. People might find it hard, but I'm happy. So happy that if I were reborn, I'd love to live this life again." We see that Seung, his daughter and his wife are living a very, very happy life. But our hero says, "I hope that this normal day will continue tomorrow as well." Then one day we find out that a large number of monsters have attacked our hero's house, and our hero is attacking all the monsters to defend his family. And he manages to eliminate a large number of monsters, and he thinks himself, "I fainted. It's okay, it's okay." Or wait, he could faint from this move. Or I could kill him. Or not. Afterward, he checks on his daughter and then thinks to himself, "Mol, what brought me here with Mina?" He can't think of anything. Eventually, he takes his daughter, runs away from the monsters, enters a place, locks the door and blocks it with all the things in it. When they enter the place, they find a soldier who looks like asphalt and says, "I just don't feel comfortable." Seung says, "If your memory is gone, you could have had an accident." Just like that, about 80% of the human population has been turned into, "Can I use your cell phone? I want to make sure my wife is okay." The soldier says, "And that's exactly why we're coming upstairs." Seung says, "How do you know my wife's number?" The soldier says, "No, I mean, in order to communicate with the military base, you have to use satellite communication devices." Seung says, "I only want to make one call to Marath via satellite." And the soldier says, okay, talk to her twice more if you want." Seung says, "What does it mean if all this stuff is up on the roof?" The soldier says, "We have a gun. What's there to worry about? Anyway, can you open the door?" "As you can see, my man." The little girl comes in and says to our hero, "Cover me." Seung says, "Mina, go hide behind your military uncle for a while." Mina says, "I don't like that uncle." Seung says, "My daughter, I understand, but he's a good military uncle." Our hero looks around and sees that the monsters are spread out and says, "There are a lot more of them than we imagined." Suddenly, the soldier goes crazy and raises a gun at our hero. Our hero attacks him, but the soldier manages to hit our hero with too many bullets. The monsters approach him, and the soldier says, "Uncle, want to hear something strange? For some reason, babies don't get infected with the virus. It's a myth. Babies are sold at high prices. These 2 days, human beings are as dangerous as the infected, maybe even from the beginning." Suddenly, the infected monsters attack our hero, but he shoots them with such force that he eliminates them all at once and stands on the roof, looking down on his daughter as he goes to save her. We see that all the soldiers are very shocked by what our hero is doing, and when he gets down on the ground, he destroys one of the vehicles and starts to get close to them, but they ride the vehicle and fire many bullets at him, but he is not affected. So much so that they give up hope and fire a bomb at him, and it explodes on our hero, but he can't think of anything but his daughter. And as the monsters get closer, his hands start to form again and he thinks of his daughter when she says, "Mommy, Mina, and you, we were all going out to play today. Daddy, always." In another place, a monster-looking person rescues our hero and when he wakes up, he says, "Right, I brought him here because there was a human being who was violent with him. This is safe, don't worry. You two, sit next to me and enjoy a little fishing. Your money." But our hero lunges at him and grabs him, scaring the old man and saying, "Wait a minute. No matter how out of shape you are, an old man like me." But our hero doesn't care and just keeps hitting him. But the old man stops him and our hero says to himself, "Is he talking? No, I still don't get it. After a while, the old man says, you want to talk. So you have all your memories from when you were a human being. Sung says, yes, it's important. Can you please tell me about a military base near here? The old man says, it's not hard, just follow the signs at the intersection and you'll be there in no time. Sung says, okay, I'm sorry I broke your arm, but it'll be back soon. The old man says, you still don't seem to understand. We don't heal or regenerate spontaneously like you. We just keep living as we are, and you're the first one to keep your memories from when you were a human being. I don't even have any memories from that time. We were human, but we're not human anymore, thanks for your help, but I have to go now. Seung says, if you can retain your memories as a human and have the ability to regenerate quickly, your daughter must want you. The old man says, my daughter. Seung says, oh, please turn me around. The old man says, are you a human being or one of us? The old man says, you're a human being, not one of us. The old man says, hey, you still have the heart of a human being. Too dangerous. The old man says to our hero, just as it's not easy for humans to kill other humans, it's not easy for us to kill ourselves. But the way you tried to hurt me just now, you're closer to humans than we are. Seung says, you're not going to die because your soul is a little broken. The old man says, if you'd been doting on me like that for a while, I'd have died. Seung said, how else can I get to the other side? The old man says, I'll ask you one last time, how about you forget your daughter and come with us? Sung says, I can't do that. The old man says, if you want to save your daughter, you're putting us in danger, not just you. But as I expected, you'll have to die here. Our hero moves and says, we don't have to talk anymore. Even if I have to, I'll go up and go back the other way. We see that our hero goes into the sea and suddenly the monsters in the water come out and our hero eliminates one of them. Then the rest of them go down into the water and the old man laughs. Seung says, with that laugh, I think I need to break your other hand too. Maybe then you'll come to your senses. The old man says, the important thing is to take the right path, not the highway. Because even if you run, you won't find your daughter. Our hero comes back and sits next to him and says, why are you talking like that? The old man says, I'm sorry, but frankly, going all the way to the military base is not an option. Seung says, why not? The old man says, there's a very dangerous creature. But do we have to go that far? One of the monsters says to the others, didn't you see the captain's hand break? Get back in formation because the next move is going to kill us. Our hero says to the old man, drag them with synchronized swimming, and then ambush them. They're clearly not out of their minds. Suddenly, one of them gets tossed aside and the old man says, this is a misunderstanding. Seung says, what kind of misunderstanding? It's been going on for a long time. The old man says, they're not all as smart as us. There are those like you who have special powers, and those who are just good at following orders. And those like me, they have intelligence. But the rest are just driven by instinct and hunger, and they can attack each other without thinking about it. Maybe that's why you can smell the humans more clearly. Believe me this time, and if you need a reason, look at my arm. Anyway, it's too dangerous to go all the way, so let me show you the safe path. Seung says, it doesn't matter how big or strong the enemy is. If they get in my way while I'm turning toward Mina, I'll cut them to pieces. He takes a t-shirt from one of the patients. Along the way, our hero encounters a terrifying gorilla and the gorilla says, this is my land, don't enter it. If you come back now, I won't chase you. But our hero hits him pretty hard and says, I'm sorry, but I have to find Mina as soon as possible. On the other side, in a nightclub, the patients are dancing, but suddenly our hero and the gorilla break the wall and enter. And a fight breaks out between them, and our hero remembers the words of the old man who was sitting with him and is able to cut off the gorilla's hand. He leaves it and walks to the headquarters where he built it and sees that there are 2 guards standing. So our hero climbs the wall and attacks the guard and wants to know where his daughter and his wife are, but the guard does not want to tell him. Suddenly, a group of soldiers arrive and raise a gun at our hero, including the soldier who escaped with the girl before. So our hero attacks him and threatens him to confess. Our hero is interrogating the soldier when suddenly the commander comes and raises a gun on our hero and says, wait, why are you looking for your daughter in this place? He says, the bastard kidnapped my daughter and I came here just to find her. The commander says, your eyes aren't normal. Are you a human being? Xena, Seung says, it doesn't matter to me like I told you. I just came here to find my daughter. The commander says, and you expect me to believe that? Seung says, that man said he was going to sell Mina somewhere. He also said that someone would pay a lot of money. I met that man before. If you don't believe me, look at his military card. I got it when we were fighting. The soldier speaks quickly and says, Commander, you don't have to listen to crazy talk like that. He attacked our base and will never be forgiven. He raises a gun and wants to finish off our hero, but his gun won't fire and his boss takes the gun and says, Seriously, Sergeant, why don't you leave the safety on? Why are you trying to shoot when we're standing so close together? The first soldier says, I have something to tell you. I'm not sure if this guy is honest or not, but Sergeant Lee Byung-ho brought back a girl from the store. She had long pigtails, and she was wearing a pink dress. Seung says, "That's Mina. Where is she?" The soldier says, "Calm down, please." Sergeant Lee said he knows the girl's parents and he's going to find them himself. "If you go with Sergeant Lee now, you can find her. I saw him communicate with them first." The sergeant speaks quickly and says, "Sassoman, go ahead and shoot the bastard." That's an order. Our hero goes to shoot him, but the captain stops him and says, "Enough already, we hear you, don't we? That's it. If you don't cooperate, it will only delay the rescue of your daughter." Honestly, I don't like to admit it, but I think I understand what's happening now. The soldiers start to confess to the sergeant, and the other soldiers also talk and say that he did the same thing with other children, and that the sergeant was teasing them and wanted to shoot them. But our hero intervened and punched him so hard that they fell to the ground. In the shower room, our hero is standing in front of the guard, who says, "Bone." He says, "What's the bone?" And the guard responds quickly and says, "There are no injuries whatsoever, I mean, especially for someone who's just made a splash like that. Please understand, it's part of the procedure. Many people have hidden the bite and then rolled over. And also, the captain said you have to wear this." Our hero takes off his t-shirt and says, "Is it because your eyes are like that you're blind?" The guard hands him something and says, "It's not like that. Walk with your eyes looking like that. It's strange that no one has attacked you yet. Honestly, I'm surprised you're still alive." Our hero puts the patch over his eye and walks with the guard, who says, "As soon as Sergeant Lee gets up, the court-martial will begin, and then they will start the operation to save your daughter, depending on the information." He thinks to himself, if this kid is with this monster, could he be one of them? I have a lot of questions, but first I have to find Mina. Then something strange happens, and our hero says to the guard, "The trial, or whatever it is, how could it be?" Suddenly, the soldier gets tired and our hero approaches him and says, "Hey, what's going on? Stay awake. Keep your head out of the windows." All of a sudden the radio goes off, and a voice says, "Base, this is logistics. Sergeant Lee throwing grenades and firing his weapon, requesting backup." Our hero doesn't understand what's going on and the guard says, "I don't know. He was supposed to stay in the hospital." But he doesn't finish, and our hero breaks the glass, gets out, chases the running car and runs, thinking to himself, "If I lose them again, I'll never let that happen again." As he's running, a soldier on a motorcycle comes up to him and says, "Sir, please stay at the base. I'll get my sergeant back." But suddenly, our hero rides up behind him and the soldier says, "What are you doing? It's dangerous. And then if we both get in, we'll disable each other." Suddenly, a voice on the radio says, "All units, I am the commander who is chasing the motorcycle." The soldier on the motorcycle speaks up and says, "Sir, Private First Class Sawman, report. I believe the fugitive on the retina is Sergeant Lee Byung-ho, and I'm currently chasing him." The commander says on the radio, "Corporal Sassaman will send backup right away. You must catch him and bring him back immediately. This is a top priority." They continue to chase Sergeant Lee and manage to get off the motorcycle and hit the wheel of the car. Sergeant Lee comes down and wants to throw a bomb, but they manage to detonate it with bullets before it reaches them, and our hero approaches him to grab him and arrest him. But suddenly, a vehicle comes and crashes. Our hero falls to the ground and a group of very large people get out of the vehicle and approach Sergeant Lee, and the soldier thinks to himself, "These people who were working with Sergeant Lee, the gunman, and those in the vehicle, there are not less than 7 of them. It's too much for me alone. I can fire warning shots and call for backup. No, I can't count on that. Maybe there's no backup at all. I wonder if Sung-won is okay. No, after the blow he took, he must be hurt badly. If the van is far enough away, I'll hide between the buildings. This is the best I can do." But a little later, "The most important thing is not to hurry. Don't wait until the van is far enough away. But wait, I was so busy with Sergeant Lee that I forgot something obvious. If I do a stunt like this, the infected will attack us like a squadron." The commander stands up and explains to the guards on the screen and says, "Look, guys, as you already know, it's almost impossible to kill the infected, and the best plan of action is to avoid them. But if you get nervous and have to confront them, you have to hit the brain. That will stop them for a while. And then if you cut the nerves in the neck, the infected will not be able to move again. And if you find yourself alone against a group of infected, there is only one solution. Blow yourself up with a grenade." These are the memories of the soldier, Sassaman, who is very surprised by the actions of the wounded and thinks to himself, "It's not too early yet. You have to explode." As they gather, "Then at least Mr. Sung-hwan, it's okay. It's not strange in the face of death. What's strange is that they're not attacking me to eat me. Could they be infected at a higher level and have intelligence? Why do they act like that? Even the infected have expressions on their faces. What's that? Eyes full of lust. That desperate gesture. It's not just a ritual before they devour the victim. It's like touching death with their own hands." Suddenly, when they see our old hero, he appears and takes them away. Suddenly, a girl and a little girl come and ask for help from our hero and the soldier. After a while, our hero sits down with the girl and tells her, "Who were with you, the ones who attacked them?" The girl says, "Yes, we had a truck, but I don't know how to drive. Take me and my son to the shelter, for God's sake." Seung says, "Sorry, we can't waste time." The girl says, "Please, if it's like this, my son and I will die." Our hero looks at the child and then says to the soldier, "Soldier, take the 6 women and the child and give them shelter. I'm going to find my daughter." The soldier says, "How are you going to find her? You don't even know where she went, do you?" Our hero says, "Tell me everything about the type of vehicle, its number, or any distinguishing mark, and I'll find it no matter what." The soldier says, "A white van with 8 chairs, and they all had centipede tattoos on their skulls. But traveling alone is impossible, your memory is still fuzzy." The girl says, "The ones with the centipede tattoos are the ones who kidnapped your daughter." Our hero says, "Do you know anything about them?" The girl says, "Of course, I know, even my own son was kidnapped." Our hero says, "Do you know where they are?" The girl says, "Before anything, your daughter could already be in the shelter. They kidnap children to trade in human beings, and we buy children to save them, and we actually bought one of them yesterday." Our hero says it, "Mina. There's a girl named Mina. She has 2 braids, and she was wearing a pink sweatshirt." The girl says, "I don't know. Hair and clothes can change. Wouldn't it be better to go see for yourself?" Then we visit their base. The soldier says to Seung, "You have to think carefully, but walking behind a stranger is a big risk." Seung thinks about his daughter and then says to himself, "If it saves Mina, it won't make any difference to me." A little later, in another place, an old man tells the girl, "No matter who I save you, there are no exceptions in the entry procedures." The girl says, "Right, I can't do it. Please do it for me, sir." He calls the sergeant, and after a while, we see the 2 of them undressing, and our hero says to the old man, "Is he doing this everywhere?" The sergeant says, "It's like airport security checks. If an infected person enters the base, it's a big problem, isn't it?" The old man is impressed, and our hero says, "It's just my luck that I didn't end up scratching someone in the middle of this mess." "But your honor, you mean the wound, right?" The old man says, "Enough, why don't you take the scroll out of your eyes?" Seung says, "No more orders, sir." The old man says, "You're hiding something. That's why I only want to see it once." The sergeant says to himself, "No, looking into those eyes won't do any good." The old man says, "I even took off my underwear. What could I be hiding? I told you, there are no exceptions in the entry procedures. Take them off." The sergeant says to the old man, nervous and laughing, "Sir, what could I be hiding under this scroll? I even took off my gun." The old man says, "Small or big, I'll decide. If you want to live, stick around," and pulls out a gun. Our hero gets very angry and hits the old man and takes away his gun. The old man is shocked, and our hero says, "You drew your gun first. Old man, I had no intention of hurting you. And if I had, your brain would have been cleared by now. Then you're really complicating things, isn't that right, or am I wrong?" The guards show up and pull guns on our hero, and the old man says, "Wouldn't it have been better to just pull the scroll and be done with it? If I push you like this, you'll kick us all out, and if you don't want to die, it's better to pull the scroll out of your eye." And we see our hero thinking to himself, 3 old men with guns. With my ability to heal quickly, it won't be difficult to control them. But if I do that, everyone will know that I'm not a normal person, and I have to avoid this situation. Suddenly, the girl comes up to them and says, "What's wrong with you all? He's the one who saved me." The old man says, "No, that man didn't take the scroll out of his eyes when we asked him." The girl says to our hero, "Why don't you take the scroll out of your eye? We just want to make sure you're not injured." Our hero removes the wrap from his eye and says, "I'm sorry, sir. I lost my eye in an accident, and it's my core today. My not, that's why I'm hiding it." The old man moves and enters a place and says, "Oh, if I had said that in the first place, it would have been all right. We'll get you set up here, so you can rest now." We started saying, "No problem, but I have to check if my daughter is here or not." The old man gets very nervous and says to our hero, "Wait, you think you're going to wake up all these precious children now? When they fall asleep, just let them sleep." The girl says to our hero, "I'm sorry, sir, adults are naturally stubborn and get upset if things don't go their way." Sung tells the girl, "No, I didn't behave well either. Like I said, sir, I'll wait until morning." A few minutes later, in our hero's room, the soldier is telling our hero Seong, "I think we should rotate the guard every 2 hours. As I told you, escorting strangers is always dangerous, and there is no harm in being careful. You take the first shift, and please wake me up after 2 hours." Our hero is sitting alone, thinking to himself, "Come to think of it, I'm not feeling very sleepy." He draws on the soldier's face to show that he's standing guard, and when our hero comes out, he finds the kid Mei sitting and playing by himself. So our hero decides to play with him for 10 minutes, and after they're done, the kid asks our hero to sleep with him, but our hero, He wants to give him to his mother, but the boy understands that this is not his mother, and we know that this boy was rescued, and he thinks that our hero, when he was with his daughter, she was doing the same moves with him, and eventually the two of them sleep in the same bed. The next morning, we see our hero and the sergeant eating, and the girl says, "If you like it and want more, come again." The sergeant says, "Do you grow vegetables in the garden?" The girl says, "Part of it, but there are also things we get from the mountains." The old people have a lot of experience with wild vegetables. Our hero walks with his sergeant friend and says, "They seem like good people. Most of the group is older. What worries me is whether they can handle an emergency situation." Emergencies, the sergeant says. "I'm also confused about this. With this group of people, it won't be easy to live. They said that people gather around 8 o'clock to count the number of people present, so we can see if Mina is there by then." Seung says, "Yeah, I really hope she island. Come to think of it, I still haven't thanked Sumin properly for all the help she's given us." Suddenly, the sergeant falls on the floor and our hero is shocked, and looks at everyone and thinks back to what the sergeant was saying. "I told you that following strangers is always dangerous. There's nothing wrong with being careful." We see that our hero and his friend are stuck in a room with a very scary mutant girl, and the corporal says to our hero, "It's no problem, they'll barely make it this far. They'll get tired and finish the food they eat. It's not a good situation, but it's not the worst thing. If their goal is our lives, they have plenty of opportunities to do so. We just need to know what they want, bargain with them, and then escape." Suddenly, the good girl comes in, but she's not so good anymore, and she's very scary looking and says, "Right, if they wanted to kill you, they had plenty of chances. I was very worried and thought, what are these old men going to do? Old men don't have any dedi forsame. Even what they're told, they can't do it right. Old men don't have a clue, they don't know the right time to strike." The sergeant says, "What does that mean?" The girl says, "I don't know, what do they mean?" The sergeant says, "I'm not going to ask you about what happened here until now. Come with me to the military base, you'll be safe there." The girl says, "I know the army has a priority in saving children, but that means there are other priorities as well. You don't remember that we tried to go to the army before, right? If you're going to bargain, why don't you say you'll cooperate with us instead?" Sung says, "Was the whole thing about saving the kids a lie?" The girl says, "That's right." Seung says, "Mina is really my daughter here." Suddenly, the girl laughs like a madwoman and then says, "Do you think I'm collecting children because I'm a saint or something?" Seung says, "What exactly are you collecting children for?" The girl says, "I heard the story that eating little kids prevents you from getting infected. I thought to myself, if I eat one of those kids, I'll never be a human being again." And the sergeant said, "That's nonsense, it has no basis. Please put this thread on hold for now." The girl says, "That's just a bunch of nonsense." Well, that's a stupid thing to say. But look at this guy. He's fighting for his daughter who's obviously dead. When our hero hears this, he's shocked and thinks of the little boy and the ball, and then he says, "You killed all the children here." The girl says, "I only ate a girl. That was a sacrifice I couldn't avoid." Seung says, "Where's Mi Young's baby?" The girl says, "Mi Young? Oh, that's what the bastard's name was." Our hero gets very nervous and tries to free himself, but she hits him in the head with a knife. The sergeant thinks back to when he was with Sergeant Lee with a kid, and the sergeant says, "Sergeant Lee, is it okay if we don't report this to Al-Qaeda?" The sergeant says, "Wow, the army has evolved so much." The soldier gets mad and talks to the sergeant. "You bastard uncle, what happens if we take the girl to Al-Qaeda? We will find her family. Or if not, Al-Qaeda will protect her. What do we do until we find them? Do we distribute leaflets or what? And even if we find them, the proceedings will be complicated if Al-Qaeda gets involved. You useless piece of shit." The recruit says, "Yeah, that's right." The sergeant says, "It's like that. That's why they're accepting people who should have been exempted." And Corporal Salmon says, "I stopped thinking. No, I really stopped thinking. It was like not just me, but everyone, stopped thinking and were moving like parts in a machine." Corporal Salmon remembers from his memories the voice of our hero saying, "That bastard kidnapped my daughter. I just came here to find my daughter." And Corporal Salmon continues and says, "Just a part of a machine. If I had kept quiet back then, I would have been just a part of a machine. I tried to admit my mistake, take my punishment, and maintain my dignity as a human being through atonement. But how did it come to this?" In the meantime, the girl says to the corporal, "Don't do that and try to behave yourself. Who knows? I could let you stay with us. I think it wouldn't hurt if there was at least one guy around." And Corporal Suman continues to tell and say, "I was overly reassured, saying this myself and then eating food from strangers without any doubt. Because if I had realized my mistake a little earlier, this wouldn't have happened." In the meantime, the girl and her group of friends begin to curse and insult Corporal Suman. "What did we do? Didn't we say we'd find out what they wanted and then negotiate with them and run away? Didn't we say if you go with us to the army, we'll protect you and keep you safe? Don't be as rigid as you used to be. With soldiers like that, it's no wonder the country is so bad." Corporal Suman screams and says, "There were many opportunities. I could have written a confession, or even gotten rid of Sergeant Lee before what happened. But it's all because of the army, because of the orders of the elders. I had no choice. It's all just an excuse." The old man says to the girl, "Captain, is this guy out of his mind?" The girl says, "In the circumstances we're in now, it's not strange, but on the contrary, he seems to have endured a lot so far." But the shocker is that our hero reappears and looks very scary and starts attacking them, and they start to raise their guns on him. Corporal Suman thinks to himself, "Seung-won, there's no way his body will regenerate again. I've never heard or seen anything like this." We see that one of the old men in the crowd is attacking our hero and stabbing him with a knife. But our hero is very nervous and grabs it and keeps hitting him until he doesn't get rid of it. The old men are shocked and start shooting and stabbing him, but he is not affected by all of this and starts to kill them like ants. Private Suman, what's going on here? He was already eating. Why is Private Suman tied up? The soldier is shocked and says to himself, what happened? Did he come to his senses or what? Is this guy really hurt? No, now is not the time to think about that. I have to explain the situation as quickly as possible. The sergeant is shocked to learn that they killed the baby Mi Young. Our hero is shocked and thinks back to when he first met this girl and said, "We buy babies to save them. Just yesterday, we bought this one. Uncle, would you like me to tell you something strange? For some reason, the little babies don't have the virus. Among civilians, this rumor was spread, and because of this, the babies have a high price in the market." Then our hero loses his mind and starts to finish them all off one by one and throws them at each other. The girl stops and raises a knife at his friend, the corporal, and says, "If you move even a little bit, I'll kill your friend. Your friend is not a monster like you, is he?" The sergeant screams and says, "Sir, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. These people hurt me young and tried to kill you." Seung says, "What do you want?" The girl says, "Nothing special. I just want you to stay down in the basement like last time. But there's one thing that puzzles me. Why are you hurting people like you? If you want to eat, they're infected too." Huh, are you crazy? You want to be infected after you eat them? You don't say. You thought if you cooked them it would be safe. I see. So tell me, I look like a human being to you. All of a sudden, they're tired, and the girl starts screaming and saying, "I can't be injured. If I'm a monster, who cares about my daughter? A monster. And injured people eat human beings. And human beings hurt each other. What's the difference between you, who lost your humanity, and the injured? Mina, save. Mina is your daughter's name, right?" Seung says, "How do you know that?" The girl laughs and says, "She was from a family that used to go to her father's house." Our hero grabs her and starts choking her and says, "Binti, what did you do to my daughter? Where's Mina?" The girl says, "After my daughter became like this, my life is hell. And you should experience hell too." Suddenly, the girl shoots herself and falls to the ground, and our hero is surprised that someone tries to attack him from his back, but our hero is able to dodge the attack and beat the monster, and there are still other monsters attacking, and our hero thinks to himself, "You say, experience hell. You're wrong." He continues to beat them and says, "This place is hell without Mina." Then he asks the sergeant if his daughter is dead, and the sergeant can't answer him. So our hero starts crying but is surprised when he hears his daughter's voice calling for him. Our hero is very aggrieved and runs and hugs his daughter, and the two of them are crying in a very touching scene. And we see Mina telling our hero, "I can't travel with Mi Young because I love him." Song says, "Remember the sergeant's daughter I told you about before? A sergeant has to go and look for his daughter. Mi Young is a good girl, so you must understand me, right?" Mina says, "Fine, but don't break your promise, okay? The promise is that the sergeant's daughter, Mi Young, and I will play together." Afterwards, Song gives her a hug and says, "Of course, I think we should play together next time, the three of us." He leaves her and enters the base, and the sergeant thinks to himself, "If only I had put my mind back and concentrated a little earlier, this wouldn't have happened. If I know what's wrong and don't fix it, I'm no different than I used to be. As you said, it may not be my fault, but if I had tried to stop what happened, I could have prevented it. Regret alone doesn't change anything. All I can do is try to do the right thing from now on." And then he says to our hero, "My mission is to find your daughter, Mr. Professor, and I won't come back until it's done. But there's not much of an age difference between us, so the whole professor thing is a bit. Just call me Hyung for now." The sergeant says, After we find your daughter, we'll call you Hong. Since there are only two of us, we don't have to speak formally to each other, right? It's more comfortable for me." We see our heroes standing with an old man who says, "I don't know anything about the little girl, but I've seen people with skull tattoos, centipede." The sergeant says, "Do you know where they are?" Any information would be helpful, the old man says. They were traders, and strangely enough, they said they would sell anything, even humans or infected if necessary. The sergeant says, so what happened? The old man says, what could happen? They sounded crazy, so I didn't deal with them. I see. Wait, what if you guys come with me to the arena later? The sergeant is saying, what's the reason? The old man says, well, there's a group we've been dealing with lately, and they say there are a lot of children. Wouldn't that be useful to you in some way? The corporal says, I'll stay here to gather more information. So please go with the chief, sir. I'll take the motorcycle. Seung says, yes, it's not necessary for us to stay together. When the sergeant walks away, the old man says to Seong, it would be dangerous for me to go alone though. Sejong says, time is of the essence, and if it's private, it should be fine. You arrived just in time. I thought it was getting dangerous when the infected started to gather. The old man says, but it's an open space, so there's less risk of being ambushed, so it's okay. So let's get to the point. Seung says, yes, thank you for helping us. Suddenly, the old man raises a gun on our hero. Two others appear, and the old man speaks and says, thank you. I should thank you. I will gladly accept the car you brought and the supplies. Seung says, I thought you had a friendly relationship with the military. What are you doing? The old man says, we are friendly and we will remain so. Song says, for that to happen, you have to disappear, don't you? Aren't you worried about the soldier who came with me? The old man says, we can cover it up somehow. It's the way it is now. But our hero grabs the head of one of the dead men on the ground and lifts it up, and suddenly there is blood coming out, and he thinks back to when he was sitting with the corporal in the carriage and says, it seems that most of them are good people. The corporal says, when I was in the army, I often visited friendly groups, but you shouldn't trust them completely. You should assume distrust as a basic principle to avoid dangerous situations. And nowadays, our hero is telling the old man, it's not like we trust you completely. If you're curious, feel free to try it out. Put all your guns and ammo in the truck, I'll take it. The old man gets scared and starts to come back and says, wait, please listen to us, we don't want to steal either, just consider it a mistake. Our hero says, are you crazy or what? The old man says, I'm not only asking you to let us go, but I'll give you very useful information. Our hero says, didn't I say we don't trust you? The old man says, now that we've come this far, what's the point of looking worse? If it's another lie, we won't have anything to say, even if you call in the army. We're sitting on one of the old man's guards, and the old man is saying, every Saturday night, loud music flows from the Exco concert hall when you have to silence even your breath. Doing such a thing is crazy. If you go there, you'll be able to discover something, our hero says. And this has absolutely nothing to do with the information I wanted. The old man says, you know how people spread out like cells, making it difficult to get information. Shouldn't you go to places where there are crowds to get useful information? The first thing we see is the soldier saying to our hero, this looks suspicious on this level. There should be guards at the entrance. And our hero says, well, looks like we've been duped. I don't feel good about this. I'm leaving here alone, so please come back. The corporal scratches his head and says, then I'll sneak through the ceiling of the ballroom. It's safe there. In the current situation, it's safer. And if something happens, I can provide cover, right? Our hero shuts up and doesn't respond. The corporal is inside the venue, thinking to himself, something is definitely strange. Making such a loud noise would attract the infected. What are they thinking? Suddenly, the infected appear in front of them and he says to himself, damn, was that really a trap? When our hero opens the door to a certain place, he finds a party with a girl singing and dancing with a very large crowd in front of her. When the sergeant gets shot, they hit him and run away from the place. The party is all for the infected, and even the girl who is singing has a resemblance to our hero, and he thinks to himself, well, there's no reason why I can't get information from humans only. If necessary, I can get information from the infected as well. I want to ask you something. Have you ever seen people with skulls tattooed on their bodies? And the patient says, ah, it's so loud I could die. Can't you see that Lucy is performing right now? I can't hear Lucy's voice because of you. And the injured person's friend says, hey, don't be so cruel. Maybe they're new members of Lucid Dream. The patient says, is that right? Right. You should watch Lucy's performance too. Our hero says, that's not important to me right now. I have to find someone. The infected are calling him evil and saying, did you just say that about Lucy?